Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm doing an ink review and it's an ink that has caused a bit of a stir. It is this, Platinum Chou Kuro. Now, Platinum Chou Kuro is considered the blackest of black inks, and Platinum have made it particularly black, even blacker than their carbon black. It's a deep black. We're going to look at it on a range of different kinds of paper, show a couple of little tests I've done, and then I'll give you some little bits of information. So let's get started. So here is my review page on Tomo River 68 GSM. It's the old stock that we love. I had it in one pen, the Nox Galileo with a medium nib, a very simple pen, but as this is an ink that is a little harder to maintain, I decided to put it in a pen that was pretty robust and easy to clean and everything. So you can see here on the swatch, it is insanely dark. There's very little shading and all that. I'm going to talk about the ink. So firstly, as I say, it's super black. It's designed to be the blackest ink on the market. As I said also, it takes a little bit more care. This is a pigment-based ink, so it is recommended you clean the pen more regularly and you take a little bit more care when doing so. There is a range of information available online as to the best ways to do this, the kinds of water to use, the flush, all that kind of stuff. Just keep in mind that it will take a little bit more care, so I would personally try and not put this in pens that are also hard to clean, like vac fillers or power fillers, things like that. Keep it in a nice, easy, simple cartridge converter, that kind of thing. Platinum has a long tradition, 104 years of history behind them, creating ink and a know-how of how to do this. Their Platinum Carbon Black is right up there. When you talk to people about what their favorite black ink is, it's almost always at the top. So this one, taking that blackness level, that darkness level to the next step. All of these things line up to it being perfect for archival use. It has high water resistance, it's nice and dark, all that kind of thing, good for archival use. But all of this also comes at a premium price, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but it is not an inexpensive ink. Just keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk about the performance here. I've said it is a very wet ink with super smooth flow. And it is beautiful to write with. It feels lovely on the page. And so it's got insane page contrast. It's low shading, particularly in a slightly wetter pen. And this pen does write relatively wet, but this ink is also quite wet. So the black is very black against the white of the page, making it super easy to read. In fact, probably for some people, even perhaps a little harsh on the eye. If you're wanting something like a blue-black, this was going to really look very, very dark. It's got excellent water resistance and bleach resistance. Now I'm going to show some tests here. So the first thing I've done is I put a little writing sample of Lamy Black and Platinum Chou Kuro in a glass of water. I'll show photos of that process here. And this is how they came out. So there was no scrubbing, there was nothing done. Water in the water, take it out, let it dry. You see Lamy Black has really spread. Now Lamy Black is not promoted as a water resistant ink, but it is a good solid black ink for everyday use. But you can see here the Chou Kuro has had no effect whatsoever. Nice and dark. So very, very strong result there with the water test. And as you can see here on the test page with the water brush, there was some red paint left on the water brush, so we've got a bit of red in there. But it moved around a little bit of the pigment on the top, that's working it. But where I put the water down and then dabbed it up, nothing has moved. Here is a test page where I once again did water test, where I dropped water on it and where I hit it with ran over it with a cotton bud of water. It moved once again, a little bit of pigment around on the top, but nothing came up with the drops. Then with bleach, I even hit it with bleach, moved it around, nothing moved. And where I put the bleach on there and sort of dabbed it up, nothing once again. In contrast with, once again, Lamy Black with the exact same thing, where I put the cotton bud across the ink, and then water and cleaned it up, like that's performed okay, but where I hit it with bleach, most of the ink has sort of been removed. So you can see even with bleach, that has a super, super strong performance. Virtually no movement even with the bleach. So very, very good water resistance and bleach resistance. And so it's got a slightly slow dry time, and it kind of just takes a while to dry. Like, it's a pigmented ink, it dries on the surface of the paper. So after 2 seconds, after 20 seconds, there was very, very little difference. Excellent performance on lower end paper, as we will see in a second. But as I said, more detailed cleans are required. It doesn't stain or anything like that. Well, I haven't found it to stain in the pens I've had it in, but it does require just a little bit more pen hygiene. And I've said it's low smudge. This is what I mean by that is once the ink is dry on the page, if you run your finger over it, does it move around? And you can see there's a little bit of movement there. But it's not too bad. Like there are certainly pigmented inks and some of these strong black inks that perform much worse than that. Extras here, low shade, once again, super dark, super wet, no shimmer, no sheen, and as I said, good water resistance and all of that kind of thing. The chromatography paper here, no movement whatsoever. Very, very strong water resistance. Let's now look at it on some other paper. So we'll start with it here on Rhodia paper. Water did nothing once again. Put water down, let it dry, no movement whatsoever. It looks good, nice, super rich dark black, no feathering, and there's no bleed even from the big swatch there. So very, very impressive. On the even lower end paper, we've got the student notepad paper here. This is super lightweight lecture pad paper. You can see the ink looks good on the surface. There's very little feathering. If you look at some of these other inks on here, there's a tiny bit of feathering, but there's virtually none from the platinum there. If we look at the reverse, it actually outperforms the others, like unbelievably so. Like that is a remarkable performance from that ink on this paper. And that performance continues when we look at it on standard office copy paper. No feathering or virtually no feathering. And the only spot it's bled through is where I put just a bit too much down on the little swab there. Other than that, nothing has come through, which you can see in comparison to the other inks. Very, very strong performance. Time for a color comparison now with Platinum Chou Kuro here. Now, I'm going to put it alongside Platinum Carbon Black. You can see it is considerably more black. And then my standard everyday black, Lamy Black. These are two sort of fairly standard black inks on the market. Platinum is one of those inks that everyone loves and raves about. So the Chou Kuro there, also from Platinum, you can see it is considerably darker and it's sort of less shiny. It's a bit more matte in the color scheme. A couple of other inks I think it might be interesting to look at it alongside. Monteverde Documental Black, which is one of the better performing permanent black inks I've used, but much, much lighter, almost a grey in comparison. Noodler's Heart of Darkness, once again, a good water resistant black ink, but still not quite as dark as Platinum Chou Kuro. And then one of those super black inks that people love for everyday writing, Aurora Black, almost once again looking grey, particularly in the lighter shading in comparison here to the Platinum Chou Kuro. So what does this ink cost? Well, it is a premium ink. Now, I was sent a small promotional bottle here. This is not a for sale size bottle by Pulp Addiction here in Australia to review this ink and just to see how it performed. And at Pulp Addiction, you can get the ink for $75.95 for the 60 ml bottle, or you can buy it in sample size, and it is available from a range of other retailers, but Pulp Addiction's price here in Australia is particularly competitive. But $75.95 for 60 ml of ink is a very high ink price. When you think that a Robert Oster ink might cost you up to $30, depending on the retailer, for 50 mils, $75 for 60 mils is a high price point. But as I said, it is super archival, super dark, pigmented ink, lots going for it, and of course that Japanese price point as well. So I've given this ink 4.5 out of 5. I think this is a really special ink. It's super dark, it performs well. It does take a bit more care. As I said, it's excellent ink. Slow dry time and expensive, but wow. This is a real wow ink. So I hope you found this review of Platinum Chou Kuro to be interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe and hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @the_offstage_me, or you can contact me in any of my videos here. A big thank you to Pulp Addiction for sending this ink out for review. I hope you found it useful. Please head over and check out what they have there. I will link to their page down below. So enjoy your inks, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.